periods of roughly 2,500 years when the solar system, including Earth, is in a particular alignment with one of the signs of the zodiac. And that's an astronomical fact. That's
Yeah.
you can go to an observatory and actually establish that we have now moved away from the constellation of Pisces in the last, say, 50 years, 100 years, into an alignment with the constellation of Aquarius. And have it, even Einstein said that there's really nothing but energy. So it's really not a very major jump of the imagination when we realize that the energies coming from those distant constellations have a certain impact on the solar system and therefore on our planet. And the past 2,000 years have served to give humanity a sense of individuality. Well, we see that all around us, and the quality of devotion to ideas or ideals, etc. But it has also separated us, strengthened our sense of separation, and to the point of obliterating ourselves, really. We're really living in dangerous times with, according to Benjamin Graham, 24 nations having nuclear capability. And there's some rogue nations out there that really won't hesitate to use it if given half the chance. So we need some help. I believe I'm convinced because humanity, even though there's many people who are coming to that realization that we're spiritually one, that we're brothers and sisters all of the same human family, that we need to look after each other, that we can't afford millions of people to die of hunger, starvation, and lack of medicines that they can't afford to pay for. Because that, if it affects such a large part of our family, you wouldn't allow that in your own family. So why allow that to happen in the human family? So we're living in dangerous times, but there's every reason for hope. And so this is coming from the wisdom teachings. Mm-hmm. And interestingly, when you compare that to the original message of the early contactees and the information coming from dignitaries and officials and later contactees, all chimes in together. We're in.
Well, I'm glad that there's hope. I think we could use a little bit of hope now. I'm curious about the newer messengers that we have out there. Certainly, you're saying George Adamski tried to tell us. He tried to bring us a message, but that was what are we talking? 50 years ago.
Right, so about,
and so it's been some time. It's been 50 years. What are the Space Brothers waiting for? Actually, when are they going to show up and say, "Hey guys, let's do this. Let's get it together"?
Well, I don't think they've been waiting. In fact, they have been showing more of themselves more often and more spectacularly, especially the last couple of years, because we are really coming close to that point where the world teacher and the masters will be reintroducing themselves to humanity. So
you're saying all these UFO sightings out there, they are our Space Brothers. When people see UFOs, are they seeing these people that you're talking about?
Yes, because of that difficult time of transition that we're going through, the arrangements have been made so that people of lower moral or ethical evolution development are not allowed, as they have been in the past apparently, and don't ask me for details because I simply don't have them. But for a time, apparently, people of planets that we would think technologically advanced, but not morally very advanced, were able to come here, but that has been stopped. So ever since the coming of the UFOs and the introduction, the space people making themselves known to contactees since the 1940s, 50s, these are only of a positive nature, benign people like us. here to help us understand the more of life, more of ourselves.
Now, can I ask you? Can I ask you if you know, um, why why would they worry about us? Why not just let our planet just I don't know, collapse, cave in, and take care of itself? Why don't
Yeah.
they go home and relax and take care of their own business? What stake do they have in our survival? Why would they care about us?
Yes, good question, because and because it ties in again with what we talked about earlier, they understand the broader nature of life, the larger picture. They understand that the planets are not solitary accidents formed out of gaseous masses at some early stage of the solar system. They understand that each planet has its own role in the greater plan of the solar system. So if one planet would, for whatever reason, be destroyed or would blow itself up, that would set back the evolution of the whole solar system enormously in ways that we cannot understand, just because we don't see the connections that they are able to see. So they have certainly they have a stake in this, but also it's out of the goodness of their hearts, because they really literally see us as cosmic brothers and sisters. Even though we may not be quite as evolved as they are, they still see through our limitations. They see more of our divine nature than we do ourselves, and that's why they are here.
So are we saying that they are on some kind of maybe some of them are part of some kind of unit or detachment that's responsible for monitoring us, like they're sort of guardians that are, it's not their whole civilization that's coming here, is it? It's a few
No.
of them who are maybe assigned
Yes, true.
to check on us or watch
Yes.
us, maybe.
And according to Benjamin Graham, the most of the people, most of the craft that we see, and the people from space that people on Earth have been in contact with and are in contact with, are from planets such as Venus and Mars and Saturn and Mercury and Jupiter. Those are the planets that are most involved in this whole mission. And they come here. They've come here on request, because there is an interplanetary parliament. George Adamski was, people who were still giving him some credibility in early 1960s. Most of them decided now he's definitely lost it. When he wrote in a pamphlet in 1962 that he had been invited to an interplanetary parliament meeting of the interplanetary parliament in 1962. But there is actually such a body that consults each other about the developments in the solar system between the evolved planets.
Are you saying in our solar system?
In our solar system.
There are other people in our solar system?
Yes, there are.
Are you wait, because we just went to Mars and we saw pictures. I don't see any people.
I'm so happy
there.
you bring this up, Pat.
Yes, we have to bring it, because this is kind of freaking me out here. I'm thinking intergalactic here. I'm thinking another solar system here. But you're saying that there are people in our solar system. Yes. You're going to have some explaining to do, my friend.
I will. And you're thinking intergalactic because the early contactees have been ridiculed. But Adamski and Perego and several others that I quote in my book have stated unequivocally that they are from Mars and Venus. Why? How is it that the Curiosity rover that we've just sent to Mars is only able to take pictures of rusty-colored rock formations, sand, deserts, whatever they are? That is, and I'm coming back to the teachings again, because you cannot see or understand the UFO phenomenon without the context, outside the context of the wisdom teachings. According to the wisdom teachings, and this is really backed up by scientists as well, and I'll mention them in just a minute. According to the teachings, the levels of physical reality that we know, dense physical, liquid physical, and gaseous physical, are only the three very lowest levels. And we're used to them because we are born in these at this level of physicality, of physical reality. And the higher levels of physical reality, the more subtler planes of matter, elude our vision, our range of vision. So
Okay, so please go on. I'll let you follow through.
um,
So is that why we don't detect other people in our solar system, other civilizations, communities?
exactly.
We cannot
Yes.
perceive them. Is that what we're saying?
They are outside. They're on levels of material reality that are outside our range of vision. They're at subtler levels of material reality. We had in the 1940s and 50s a medical doctor from Austria who fled to the United States, Wilhelm Reich, and he discovered what he called orgone energy. And he said that this energy permeates everything that exists. That's one. He was locked up, by the way, by the FBI, and he was not allowed to prove his or continue his work on proving the reality of his discovery. Later on, we had Semyon Kurlian, who developed the technology by which he was able to capture the energy fields surrounding living entities that our eyes don't see, but his photographic technology was able to record. And now it's being used also. It has been developed to capture human auras, the fields of colored energy surrounding humans. And some people have etheric vision and they're able to see auras or those energy fields. There's also a British biologist, Rupert Sheldrake. He had proposed in the 70s, I believe, the hypothesis of morphogenetic fields. And he calls them really memory banks of nature, where all the forms that exist find their blueprints. So really, the what we see around us are the precipitation of things that exist on subtler levels. Life on the other planets, it's like the three stages of O2, water. When it freezes, we get the ice, and when it evaporates, it becomes vapor. So we have O2 in three different states, but in those three different states, the molecules are at different levels of vibration, different rates of vibration. The life on the other planets is just as real, just as material as life is on our planet, but at a slightly higher level of frequency of vibration, so that they have cities, they have, not cars, but personal UFOs, so to speak, flying saucers. They have rivers, they have woods, they have pets, they have vegetables, they have fruits, they have everything.
So they're there, but we can't see them. We can't detect them. Even if we were to land there and walk around in spacesuits, we wouldn't bump into them.
We wouldn't run into them because they are at a different level of rate of vibration. Their atoms are, just as the molecules of ice, water, and vapor are at different frequencies. So their atoms, the atoms of their craft, of their bodies, of their trees, of their plants, of their animals, are at a higher rate of vibration than ours. So at the moment, we could not even be abducted because their craft doesn't exist in solid physical matter, dense physical matter. That is,
well,
it's just as physical, but it's slightly more subtle.
Well, it's a very interesting aspect that you are bringing up, which would be that a lot of people ask, how could these beings elude us? How could their craft simply kind of blink in and out of our reality, and how could they maneuver in ways that we can't maneuver? How can these beings, visit me? How can they just walk into my living room or wherever they come? And this might kind of explain that. Yeah, as you're about to say,
when they want us to see them in their craft, for instance, they sort of flick a switch in their craft so that the rate of vibration of the atoms of their craft or their bodies, if they land and step out of their vehicles, comes down temporarily to our level so we can see them. And if they want to be gone, they just flick the switch back and they're out of our range of vision again.
So they're technologically much more advanced than we are. Or is it just a different
because the technological advancement comes with their ethical, their spiritual advancement, and that is why this time on Earth is so dangerous, because we have been given some of the technology, and we've been helped with developing some technology that we could use against ourselves, that we could use to destroy ourselves, and therefore we have this elaborate protection from the masters of wisdom, from our own planet, our own elder brothers and sisters, and the space brothers.
Now, Gerard, this is all very interesting. You're painting a completely different picture of the solar system than I learned in school and that I was aware of until a few minutes ago. Does anyone believe this? I mean, do you have are there other people who share your view or this theory? And is this George Adamski's theory, your theory? Who's saying this, that extraterrestrials are on the planet, in our solar system?
As I mentioned, George Adamski says they're from Mars and Venus, etc. Alberto Perego, the Italian contactee, says so. There's some others that I mentioned in my book. The notion of higher levels of physical reality is common knowledge in the wisdom teachings, which first came out through Madame Blavatsky in 1875. The scientists, interestingly, are on the verge of discovering this. You must have heard of the near discovery of the Higgs boson, that particle that kept eluding scientists, and that they built this 27-kilometer particle accelerator near France and Switzerland. They now think they've recorded something, and that is exactly the same thing that Wilhelm Reich and Semyon Kurlian and Rupert Sheldrake have been calling by different names, and that is called in the wisdom teachings the etheric planes of matter, because scientists they have been looking for it for ever since the 30s, when the notion of dark matter and dark energy was first proposed. They know by their calculations that 96% of the known universe was missing. They couldn't measure it with our instruments. And now they have the first inkling, it seems, the first shred of evidence that there is this particle that gives other atoms mass, as they call it. But really, it's the first step into the discovery by our science of these etheric physical planes of existence.
Well, it's interesting that you're going into this, because I just by chance a few days ago clicked on a link to an interview with Michio Kaku, the esteemed physicist from, I think it's the City University of New York, and he's world famous. Michio Kaku.
Yes.
And he was just saying, well, it's looking more and more like the world around us is composed of energy on different frequencies. And he's kind of saying what you're touching on here, that there could be beings among us right now in your living room sharing the same space but not the same frequency. You can't see them, you can't touch them, but they're sharing the same place in the universe, just on a different frequency. The same way you right now in this room, we're getting, everyone listening to this show, we're all getting different frequencies of TV shows. All of our TV shows, radio shows, and are playing right now. But you and I are not detecting them unless we tune in. We tune in with on that frequency.
Or unless we have etheric vision. Or unless they decide to lower the rate of vibration of their body so we can see them. They drop into our range of vision, and that's really what it is.
Well, interesting. Do you have any major scientists that will buy this? That this applies to civilizations on other planets now? Is that
Well, Galileo is a major scientist now, but when he first proposed that the Earth, that the Sun was not orbiting the Earth, he was thrown into jail or he was given house arrest.
Well,
And also Rupert Sheldrake, I think, is a forerunner. Wilhelm Reich was definitely a forerunner. He's been marginalized, but his work continues. And Rupert Sheldrake, he's still alive, and he's still publishing and writing. So no, there are not major scientists in that sense who are subscribing to their ideas, because these are revolutionary ideas to traditional science. But that's how it goes. That's the way of the world. Revolutionary ideas first get rejected before they become generally accepted.
Well, very, very true, my friend. And it's because of that I cannot reject what you're telling me. I will chew on it. I'll think about it, and certainly take it into my reality and think about it. We have a question coming in from a listener. Are you ready for a question?
Sure. Yes.
Question: do we know whether our consciousness solely exists as a result of our birth, creation on Earth, or is it an implant by another race that we simply are awakening here on Earth? Did you get that question?
Yes. And I go back for an answer. I go back to the wisdom teachings, and the wisdom teachings say that consciousness is the result of the meeting of matter and spirit. When matter and spirit meet, that is where consciousness is born. And so really what it says is that consciousness is all around. It's not an accident, again, a chemical accident of complex enough beings to have evolved, but it's actually built into life. And when life on any planet reaches the human stage, and humans, as we know, are have evolved out of the animal kingdom, and human have this sense of individuality, and that's because they have a soul, and the soul is really the reflection of of our divine source. So we are really individual reflections of divinity that expresses itself on this planet, in this solar system, in this Milky Way. So we have a really important role to play in this whole process of the evolution of consciousness. But it is imbued, it's built into this expression of life. And it's definitely not an implant, it is who we really are, basically. And that expresses through consciousness, self-awareness. And the further we advance and perfect ourselves, the more perfectly we are able to express that inborn divinity. And that shows in people like Jesus, Buddha, Krishna, you name them.
So UFOs, Space Brothers, this is all actually very, very spiritual. This is
Absolutely.
You're talking about us as a consciousness working with a body, but the real purpose is to evolve our consciousness, to develop our consciousness. Does our consciousness continue past the termination of our human shells? Does our consciousness go on after death?
Absolutely, yes, because we reincarnate in a new body. Maybe next time as a in a female body, or if you're a woman now in a male body. We have all kinds of experiences to round us out to enable us to express the consciousness that we are, the divinity that we are, in a perfect way, but in a uniquely individual way. So each of us, rather than growing into a huge gray mass of like the hive in Star Trek, the Borg, we're all evolving into a unique expression of divinity once we reach that stage of the Masters of Wisdom, where we are perfected men and are, relatively speaking, able to express our individual divinity on the physical plane.
That's pretty cosmic, my friend. So if we are cosmic beings, consciousness exists throughout the universe, couldn't we say that to answer this person's question, that our consciousness may in fact be in touch with with consciousness or come from other parts of the universe. If someone dies in another world, could not that consciousness transfer to us in this world? Could we not? Is reincarnation in this sort of continuity of consciousness restricted to one world? I mean,
not necessarily, because I've documented in my first book that George Adamski came from Venus. He was actually a soul from Venus who incarnated here for this particular mission. And there are others. There's now this several years ago came out on YouTube an interview with a Russian boy called Boris, and Boris had very vivid memories of his life on Mars. And according to Benjamin Graham, who works very closely and has been doing so for 50 years with one of the Masters of Wisdom, he has confirmed that Boris is indeed a soul who has incarnated on Earth from Mars. So there's this interchange, not on a massive scale, but occasionally of people switching planets for different experiences.
Gerard, you're freaking me out, my friend. This is it's very cosmic. I'm going to relax tonight and think about all this. It's almost time for us to wrap up the show. This has been a spectacular, very cosmic conversation. I'm wondering if people want to read more about you or read your book, where can they find out more? Do you have a website?
My website lists my books, and the book that we really have been discussing today, Here to Help UFOs and the Space Brothers, is the second one. On my website, bgapublications.nl, there's links to Amazon. They're really available from all the major online and on-site retailers. But if you need to, the title or the ISBN, go to bgapublications.nl, and it also lists my speaking engagements and interviews, etc.
Okay. Could you repeat that website one more time, please?
bgapublications.nl.
Okay, very good. Gerard, any last things you want to say to your audience, to listeners tonight?
Yes, well, thank you. I would like to take this opportunity to state once more how the coming of the UFOs is not an isolated event, but really happens in support of humanity's awakening to its oneness. And we have to begin to realize that we are one, and we'll soon be given a unique experience of that oneness when the world teacher steps forward, whose personal name is Maitreya. The Buddhists had that right in their expectation. It's really a universal doctrine of the coming one at the beginning of every cosmic cycle. And we have to start acting on that realization and create the conditions in this world where every man, woman, and child is able to at least live a decent human life and has a prospect for the future, where people no longer have to die just for the lack of money to buy the food or the medicines that they need, where they have adequate shelter and education and healthcare, and thereby expressing really our oneness. And that is the message from the early contactees, that's the message from the Masters of Wisdom, that's the message that the dignitaries and officials that we briefly discussed apparently, or at least their experiences, corroborate this message. There are no negative ETs on this planet. They're here to help us.
All right. Very good. Wow. Gerard, thank you for a wonderful conversation.
Thank you very much. It was a pleasure.
Okay, everybody. That's it for tonight. This is Pat Uskert signing out. This is Epic Radio on the InceptionRadioNetwork.com. Good night, everybody.
Thank you for being with us tonight. Please join us again next Monday evening for Extraordinary Phenomena Investigations Council's Epic Voyages. I'm Roger Peacock for Epic. Until next time.